We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insight, new style, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, July 2nd here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Ki Kim.
Happy Hump Day.
Happy Wednesday. And Grace is also with us today.
Happy Wednesday.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Wednesday, which means we're going to begin with our keyword news, where we look at a story that has been gaining traction over the past 24 hours. Today's keyword is heat wave. So summer is making its presence loud and clear with heat wave warnings in effect across most parts of the country. Seoul experienced its first tropical night of the year on Sunday when nighttime temperatures remain above 25 degrees Celsius all throughout the night. And the sweltering heat is expected to persist. The number of tropical nights in Seoul has been on the rise each year, with 48 such nights recorded last year. Grace, what are some tips or habits you follow to stay cool and safe during a heat wave?
Yeah, I thought it was monsoon season, but it seems like we're already in a heat wave. I was actually melting yesterday because of the heat, and I made sure that I stayed inside when I could. We experienced a really hot summer last year as well, so I started using the little hand carry fans. And they've been helping out a lot. And I noticed that now it's not even just fans that they have anymore. They actually offer like these air conditioning plates that are on these fans, so that the little fans are mini air conditioners that you can just carry around. So yeah, I definitely recommend that for anybody who has to stay outside in the heat for long periods of time.
So that does sound super convenient to be able to carry like a mini AC with you around everywhere.
Yeah.
What I've actually done recently, which I brought to work for the first time today, is I bought a parasol. So what I've done is that before I used to like sneak under other people's parasols. I think that's a thing in Korea where people have like, it's like umbrellas, but like for the summer.
Oh.
Yeah, so that I bought that recently. So hopefully that'll give me a little shade that I can hide under over the summer. So I'm looking forward to using that. What about you, Ki?
So during the summer, I come to work. That's this very building early and go home late because the broadcast station is always cool because there's a lot of gadgets. It's nicely air conditioned. And I always carry around my travel tumbler like this all the time, filled with ice, and just stay inside as much as I can, stay in the car. I sometimes during the night, if I feel too hot, just go out and go on a drive, drink a lot of water. So I generally have less outdoor activities unless I absolutely have to.
Right, so with temperatures soaring and the nights stay uncomfortably warm, it's more important than ever to take care of yourself. We're not sure whether this year will bring even more tropical nights, but one thing's for sure, the summer heat is here, so make sure to stay cool and look after yourself. And that concludes our keyword news for this Wednesday. And as we make our way into the middle of the work week, we're taking a look at a topic that'll probably hit close to home for many young workers watching, something that speaks to how they carve out small moments for themselves in the middle of a busy workday. Let's take a look at the screen to learn more. For many office workers, the lunch hour is the highlight of their workday. It's a precious window of time to step away from their desks, unwind, and recharge. But how people, specifically millennials and Gen Z, spend that time is changing. Today on News Generation, we're diving into how lunch breaks are shifting for the new generation of workers as they prioritize alone time. As we just saw in the video, lunchtime can look different for everyone. Now we're going to take a closer look at how people, specifically Gen Zs, prefer to spend their lunch breaks. So Ki, can you start us off by telling us how you're planning to spend your lunch hour today? Because our show ends around lunchtime.
Sure. So today, normally it depends on what kind of menu they have downstairs in our company restaurant, but I think I'm just going to cook at home. When I have some free time, I normally cook at home because I love cooking, and cooking sort of gives me a meditative feeling. And from time to time, I try to clean up my fridge. I just cook off whatever groceries I have left in my house. Also, my lunch hours are normally unpredictable, and it's different almost always every day. Otherwise, when I'm at Arirang, I normally eat with people here. That's end up being producers because no one in the house wants to eat with this old man.
I wouldn't mind eating with you, Keith.
Thank you.
Whatever.
Appreciate it. Yes.
I'm down whenever.
Yes.
So I think you mentioned how you like cooking, so I think that's a
Sure.
good way to, I mean, especially these days, I feel like cooking would be a much cheaper option than eating
Right.
out. And you also, so you clean your fridge along the way.
Exactly.
So it sounds like there's a lot of benefits to that. What about you, Grace?
Well, I work in 9 to 6 corporate job, and so I have 1 hour every day for lunch. I make sure to utilize this hour that I have as best as I can because it's a nice break that I have from the entire workday. So when I first started out around 6 years ago, I remember having lots of lunch plans with either a colleague or a superior. But these days I spend most lunches at my desk with a salad or something simple that I pack from home. And lunch outings happen less frequently. And I'm not sure if this is because of the changing trends or if it's just a change in my preference. Maybe both, but it does seem like work lunch trends are trending in Korea.
Right. I think that really shows how lunch habits can shift over time. It's not just maybe not just about trends, but also because as you move into different stages of your life as well. So, Ki, is it true that lunch culture has changed for millennials and Gen Zs? If so, how has it changed?
Well, in Korea, lunchtime used to serve as a form of team building ritual. Traditionally, it's common for colleagues to eat together, strengthening their bonds while informally discussing work-related matters. However, this culture is shifting, particularly among the MZ generation. More and more younger generations today are choosing to spend the lunch break alone, prioritizing relaxing and personal well-being over the social interactions. So if you take a look at the screen now, according to a recent survey, 77% respondents viewed lunchtime for break time, and in contrast, only 23% said they considered it a time to build a social ties with their coworkers.
That's actually a lot less than I thought it would come out. But since lunch break culture, like you said, is changing, are there any interesting or unique ways that young people are choosing to spend their lunchtime these days, Grace?
Yeah, I can relate to what Key said, and I'm seeing more young people now using their lunch hours to rest up and recharge. We're also seeing various services emerge, which are now normalizing these activities. For example, there's a car sharing service, which is a bit different from the usual car sharing platforms that we're used to. This service rents out parked cars so that people can utilize that private space to eat, spend some alone time, or even sleep. You can access this service in densely populated areas like Gangnam, Jongno, and Mapo, where it costs 3,000 won per hour. Also, there is a similar service that movie theaters have been offering for some time now, where you can rent out reclining seats to take a nice little break, and book cafes as well as hotels offer special packages to office workers who want to take some time to themselves during their lunch hours.
You did mention how you also eat at your desk sometimes. I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but I've started eating alone too, and I've kind of felt like it'd be nice to have like a little closed off space on my own, but I'm not really sure if I'd be willing to pay for that. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd be willing to pay every day for 3,000 won per hour just to have my little space in a car.
It's not a lot, but I see what you mean.
It's not a lot.
Right?
It might add up if you go like every day, but I agree with you. I don't know if I would pay for it unless I was always like in this really crowded, busy workplace. Maybe where like people are just constantly behind me walking around.
Right. It's not like I'm looking at anything weird or off, but like just having people like walk behind me.
Yeah.
I'm constantly mindful of that. So I mean, it would be nice to have some kind of private
for
space.
sure.
Right. So Ki, why do you think lunch break culture is changing for office workers? So what's really driving this shift?
Well, it's not entirely new. It actually began, I guess, during the COVID when the social distancing measures gradually eroded the group lunch culture. For younger office workers, many of whom tend to lean more individualistic, this was a natural transition. Lunchtime became an opportunity for self-care and personal development. So many began using the time to exercise or attend some classes or listen to some of the classes on their phone or computers. And more frequently, recently, there seems to be a growing desire to carve out a stress-free healing moment in the middle of the workday.
Right, so there actually is a Pilates class that happens during lunch here at Arirang that I've heard about. I mean, personally, I don't know if I'm at a point where I can donate my lunchtime to doing this, but I do see how, like you said, like exercise could be a way to refresh both body and mind.
There was actually a lot of people who worked out downstairs because we had a small gym downstairs. So
Really?
a lot of people during lunch they went down there to just run on a treadmill or they just did a workout a little bit. Not that I did it.
I mean, that is really respectable, like you said. Yeah. So what do you think, Grace?
Yeah, I'd also have to say that inflation, which has led to the increase in lunch prices, or sometimes called lunchflation, has contributed to the shifting lunch culture here. Young people are now opting for cheaper, more simple meals instead of paying higher prices at their cafeterias or nearby restaurants. We're seeing more and more people head to convenience stores now to buy smaller snacks or packing their lunch at home and eating it alone at their desks.
Right, so to get a broader sense of how people like to spend their lunch breaks, we reached out to our viewers through a poll on the Arirang News YouTube channel, and we asked them to share their experiences. Specifically, we asked how they would ideally like to spend their lunch breaks. And here are the answers we got. The majority of respondents, 62%, said they prefer to spend their lunch breaks alone without any distractions. Meanwhile, 29% enjoy eating with their coworkers and using the time to socialize. And the remaining 9% choose to focus on personal development during their lunch breaks, such as reading or learning new skills. So to hear more about what lunch break culture is like in other countries, we'll be speaking with a Gen Z from America. And that's coming up right after the break, so stay tuned.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Brittany Schmidt, who's currently working as a model in Korea. So hi, Brittany. Thanks so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So what does lunchtime typically look like for office workers or, in your case, models in your country?
So I didn't really work as a model in America, but I did work in an office setting. So lunches are typically 30 minutes to an hour. Most offices have like a break room, or if you have like a big company, you have like a cafeteria. A lot of people will bring their own lunch because unless you live in a city, delivery can be hard to get or it's really expensive. But there's always been a problem with bringing your own food and leaving it in break rooms in America, where people will steal your lunch. So you'll go for your lunch and your lunch will be gone. So some places will have set times for lunches. Like doctor's offices will close for an hour or so, but typically it'll be like a window between like 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. and people can come and go as they please for lunches. But there's also, if you're around, a lot of the times workers can get guilted into working through their lunches, even though it's unpaid. So that's why typically they'll kind of scatter either to their cars or go somewhere else so that they can't be fined by their coworkers.
Sure. So, Brittany, I was wondering if is there any difference in how older and a younger generation workers tend to spend their lunchtime breaks, like we see the difference in Korea?
There's definitely a difference between the older and younger workers. I feel like a lot of the older workers will go and sit down in a common area. They are more open to socializing. They want to socialize and talk to their coworkers, where the younger generation prefers to do their own thing. If they aren't eating lunch alone at their desks with headphones in, they're either in their car or off somewhere else completely. And a lot of the times, people use their lunch breaks to run errands, go to appointments, or like you said earlier, get in a quick workout.
Well, Brittany, then how do you personally prefer to spend your lunch breaks?
Currently, my lunch break is the only time that I have during work to just kind of sit and relax by myself. So I put in my headphones. I heat up my cup ramen and I just sit on my phone for about a half an hour and just turn my brain off. But at previous jobs too, I would just get like a small snack or something and go hide in my car. I would eat really quick and then just turn my brain off for however long my break was. I would keep my phone off because I don't want to be bothered during that time. I don't want to be guilted into coming back to work or doing anything that's work related during my break.
So I guess no matter which country you're in, everyone's is starting to value their alone time, just being cut off from, the office drama or whatever. So that's really interesting to hear. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today and for connecting with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So we just heard from an American working here in Korea sharing her perspective on how lunch break culture is evolving among young people. Grace, what do you see as the benefits and challenges of these changes in lunch break culture?
Yeah, well, according to a survey conducted on workers in the UK, a majority of these UK workers said that having freedom to spend their lunch break however they want improves productivity. It seems like when people are able to kind of just step out from their work environment and, like Brittany said, just turn off their brains for a little bit, it allows them to maximize their ability to focus and work more efficiently.
So that makes a lot of sense, and also having the freedom to choose how you spend it is also really important. So what are your thoughts on this, Key?
Well, lunchtime is probably the only time during the day where you and your colleagues can build up the bonds and talk about small things and get to know each other. So I appreciated you giving your time to, eat with me at certain points. And it does feel a bit isolating and even cold, though, compared to how it used to be. But again, I'm a freelancer and I'm used to eat alone, and I don't go to the office 9 to 6 every weekdays. So I can't blame people wanting their time off from work or anyone related with the work, just like how Brittany was saying, that try to have their brain relaxed during those lunch hours.
So like you said, I think the ideal situation would be finding a balance with that.
Right.
Because sometimes I do want to chat with my colleagues or gossip with them,
Exactly.
which is a way for me to de-stress. But also, at the same time, feeling cut off and, like you said, like turning off their brains is also very much needed as well. So in your opinion, what does an ideal lunch break culture look like? How would you personally like to spend your lunchtime?
So I guess, for every single worker or office worker out there, the first thing that comes to their mind at their workplace is probably, what am I gonna eat for lunch? You know, that's a common question. So having less stress is very, very important. And also, this is just a daily dilemma. What you're gonna eat for lunch, what you're gonna eat for dinner. So lunchtime decisions can be really tough in our work lives. So let's just let people choose, eat on their own or in a small group. But it wouldn't hurt, and it'd be nice sometimes, once in a while, to have lunch all together to build that teamwork.
I can relate to you so much on what you said about how even like the daily chores, just picking what you want to eat,
Exactly.
tend to carry a lot of weight. What about you, Grace? How do you like to spend it?
I'm really liking the freedom that I have these days for lunch, and I'm glad that planned lunches with colleagues and higher ups aren't like this kind of unsaid requirement anymore. And it actually makes them kind of more enjoyable when I have them, since I'm not forced to have lunch with people, and it's now kind of like this special occasion. And as much as I do like my solo lunch breaks, I think that eating alone every single day of the year isn't a wise option either, because networking and building relationships are also a very important part of working in an organization. I guess what I am trying to say is that it's good to have balance between the two, and I am glad that we are seeing this happen more in workplaces among millennials and Gen Z in Korea.
So at the end of the day, everyone has their own style when it comes to lunch breaks, whether it's spending time alone, catching up with coworkers, or doing something productive. But there are pros and cons to each approach, but what's most important really is finding what helps you recharge and feel good throughout the rest of the day. And this brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation, but News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. A big thanks to Key.
Thank you.
And Grace.
Thanks for having me.
For joining us today. And to all our viewers, thanks for watching, and we hope you have the best day. We are
News Generation.